Oh my god. You're gonna be annoying. Okay, hi. My name is Jake. I run 3lostdogs.com, and today I've got a monster-sized video for you all about how I got through the adjustment period with my new Belgian Malinois River. The adjustment period is that awkward stage after you get a new dog where you and the dog are learning to live together. The dog is learning the rules of the house, and it's the time it takes for this dog to go from being your new dog to just being your dog. It can take 2 weeks to 6 months. For me, I'm just shy of the 3-month mark, and I think we're pretty much through it. So we'll do a run through of what her training has been like. You'll get to watch me try and practice what I preach, which might be hilarious. If you're thinking about getting a dog, this might be helpful. I mean, there's already a ton of excellent puppy care advice out there, but that's kind of the problem, right? It's the information overload. You know you've got to think about house training and socialization and basic manners and puppy training games and puzzle toys and vet visits, and that's great, but like, when do you do those things? What order do you do them in? So what I'm doing with this video is trying to provide some context for all that, to show you how I did it. And we'll also talk about crippling self-doubt and frustration and mental health and all these fun things that you don't usually think about when you think about getting a puppy, but that nevertheless are a big part of the experience for many of us. Alright, here we go. My plan going into 2016 was to get a new dog. My dream breed, a Belgian Malinois. I didn't think I'd actually get one though, because at this point in my life I prefer to adopt shelter dogs, and Mals are not exactly common in shelters, so I planned on looking for some athletic little mixed breed from the pound. But then Jonas got sick. Jonas was my agility partner back in the day. He was the dog I learned the most from, and he died on the last day of summer in September. And after that I had no desire to get a puppy anytime soon. But late one night, barely 2 weeks after losing Jonas, I was browsing a local shelter's online pet listings just to look. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but an entire litter of purebred Belgian Malinois puppies. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I don't know how that happened. The odds of that happening are the same as, I don't know, the odds of Firefly getting a second season. I'm sorry. Too soon? Too soon. So of course I had to go check him out. Next morning I went down to the Rescues Adoption Center, which was located in what used to be a pet shop in an old mall. And there they were, 8 baby Belgian Malinois. They were everything I wanted, and they were all taken. The staff said each puppy was already spoken for, their new owners just hadn't picked them up yet. If I wanted, I could leave an application and they would contact me if any of the adoptions fell through. Alright, like that would happen. But I left an application just in case, tried not to let the soul-crushing disappointment bother me too much, and I moved on with my life. At 5 p.m., the impossible call came. We have a Malinois puppy for you. You can pick her up tomorrow. Yeah, so sometimes things don't suck. Now that I'd found myself pretty unexpectedly about to become the guardian of one of the most challenging puppies possible, I had to get my head in the game. I went out and bought a puppy crate, an exercise pen, lots of chew toys. I already had the puzzle toys at home. And of course, the pet stain remover. Then we cleaned up the house and puppy-proofed all the areas she would spend her time. So then it was time to bring her home. Moment of truth. First stop was her bathroom area, because house training starts right away.
You go?
Take the leash off and
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Wait, is she going? Yes, she is. Quite a lot. Oh my. Who is this? Look at that.
Good boy, man.
Oh, Merlin, good
Some
boy.
treats, right?
Where are you going? Come back. She licked you and you didn't want it, huh? She's like,
Good boy.
good
Good
boy,
boy.
Merlin. Oh, his lips went up a little bit.
Okay, Merlin, come here.
Good boy.
Good job.
You're not crazy about dogs getting up in your mouth, huh? That's understandable.
Good boy. Is she asleep? Day one is pretty low-key. It's just about getting to know the people and the animals she lives with, taking lots of trips out to her bathroom, getting lots of rewards for peeing outside. You gonna go pee? Good girl. Good girl. Here. And crate training. We're getting her ready to spend the first night in her crate. I introduced her to the crate by tossing treats in, letting her go in to get them, and then feeding more treats while she was inside. She was free to go in and out as she pleased, but soon she started to prefer to stay in, because that's where the snacks were. I did sessions of this throughout the day, eventually closing the crate door for a few seconds and then a few minutes. In the evening, I watched TV while she ate dinner in a Kong in the crate with the door closed right next to me. River sleeps in her crate in the living room, and for the first few nights at least, I planned on sleeping on the couch next to her, so that she wouldn't be afraid and so she wouldn't whine all night long. At 1 a.m., after a very long day, I put River to bed in her crate and she slept through the night. Which was a fluke, of course. I mean, this doesn't happen. I knew that this was just a honeymoon period thing. Man, the first few days were glorious. River was perfect, I was in puppy love, I had an ample supply of enthusiastic puppy sitters. River was really calm. She didn't bite much, she didn't chew much. And when I wasn't working with her, she was happy to just spend the whole day sleeping in her pen. The first few days with a new dog are often like this. The dog is pretty calm, pretty well behaved, until they get settled in, at which point they become less calm and less well behaved. I should be careful with this. I don't mean to imply that the dog is being good on purpose during the honeymoon. It's not like they're trying to make a good first impression or trick you or whatever. It's just that they're not doing much of anything because they're shy or they're uncertain of their new situation. And people tend to interpret dogs doing nothing as dogs being good. So when the dog gets more comfortable, they start doing more things, including bad things like, I don't know, digging up the couch cushions or harassing the cat, dog things. I took full advantage of this time with River. Since she was doing a lot of good behaviors, I could heavily reward the behaviors I liked and help cement some good habits for the future. River didn't eat out of an actual food bowl until about maybe 2 months in. Every morning I rationed out a day's worth of kibble. She got 3 small meals and puzzle toys every day. And the kibble that was left was used for training. Anytime someone saw her doing something good throughout the day, they'd give her a kibble. For example, we rewarded her every time we saw her sit. This is a training method called capturing. And boy, she caught on to that real fast. By the end of day 1, we had a puppy who sat constantly. Anytime she wanted something or she wasn't sure about what to do next, she sat, which is real nice. A dog who knows how to say please, pretty much. Sit. Yes. Get it. Sit. Yes. Ready? Get it. Ready? Sit. Yes. Come here. Sit. Good girl. Get it. Hey, River. River. Good girl. Bedtime on day 2 was more what you'd expect from a puppy. I let her take a nap in the evening, which was my mistake, my critical error. Because then at midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever it was, I tried to put her to bed. She was wide awake. I put her in the crate with a Kong. She ate the Kong, and then she started crying and panicking. So I let her out. I put her into the pen, at which point she started barking at scary shadows in the dark house. I put her back in the crate. I realized that she was quiet as long as I was talking to her. So I talked her to sleep, pretty much. This whole process took about an hour, and then she slept through the night. It definitely helped that I was sleeping on the couch with her. I think if I had tried to sleep upstairs in my comfortable bed from the beginning, the whining would never stop. Come here, good girl. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Come here. Every morning after exercise and training, we worked on separation training. She ate a breakfast Kong in her playpen while I left the room, coming back in every minute to say hi. It's important to teach your puppy how to be on their own during the honeymoon period before you have to go back to work or school and leave them alone for real. This really goes a long way towards preventing separation anxiety. River constantly tries to get Merlin to play. A couple times he agreed, but he was too rough and she was too small and she got overwhelmed. They're still figuring each other out. Merlin, man, this was not a honeymoon period for Merlin, that's for sure. He was really unhappy during this time. He's had a lot of upheaval in his life the past month. First he lost Jonas, and now all of a sudden he has to deal with this whippersnapper. He was just really sad, but I knew he would adjust. I made sure to spend as much time with him on his own as possible. Took him on a few walks and played frisbee a lot. So, socialization is all about introducing your puppy to all kinds of people, places, animals, things, and situations, and trying to make it as positive an experience as possible so that the dog, learns about the world, learns how to communicate with their own species, learns how to communicate with people, and gains the confidence to handle whatever comes at them in life. Now, because I know some nerd is going to bring it up, technically socialization is about meeting people and animals, living creatures, and habituation is about getting used to objects and places. But for simplicity's sake, I'm just lumping both these things into the umbrella term of socialization. That's a hard word to say over and over. Socialization was my biggest priority with this puppy. She was already 4 months old when I got her, which is at the tail end of the sensitive puppy socialization period. We had a lot of catching up to do. Right now, socialization was mostly about getting to know and trust her new family and exploring her home. On day 3, we invited some people over for a very calm gathering to meet and socialize the puppy. Day 5. Sadly, the honeymoon was coming to an end. River was becoming more active and we were starting to get a glimpse of the true Malinois personality. The biting and the chewing and the impossible, crazy energy levels. There were mornings we would get up at 6 a.m. and between playing and training and, harassing the cat and the other dog, and exploring and just doing puppy things, she was going nonstop until about 11 o'clock or 12. when she would finally take a nap. And there were nights like that too, nights from where between 9 p.m. and midnight, she was just crazy. And it was all I could do to keep up with her. So the honeymoon was over. And I just settled into the grind of doing the work. House training basically just comes down to watching her like a hawk and taking her out to pee every hour or so. For the first couple weeks, she had an accident in the house every evening, which was my fault, of course. It's partly a matter of me getting too confident. It's like, you know, she hasn't had an accident all day, we're good. And partly a matter of me being completely exhausted. Either way, I did not supervise or manage her enough, which gave her the chance to pee on the carpet.
Come here, River. Come here. Sit. Yes, good girl. Hey, River. Sit. River. Sit. Good girl.
Yes. Down. Yes. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Good girl. Okay. Oh, all done. Good job. Want your toys? Violet and River can be loose in the house together. River really wants to play with him, but Violet plays it cool. We started taking short walks up and down the street and rewarding her anytime she chose to look back at me and check in with me. It wasn't actually a disaster. It just felt like one at the time. River's first big socialization trip was to the vet. Now she's barking. Took her longer than I thought it would. Now the neighbor's dog is barking. Yeah, so we took her to the vet. I wasn't really concerned about it because up until this point she had been really happy to meet new people, meeting people who came to visit her and meeting our neighbors, and I clearly should know better. Meeting someone in the comfort of your own house and meeting someone in a strange, scary place who's gonna manhandle you and stab you with needles are two different things. This poor dog, in this footage she looks calm and peaceful. I mean, she seems to be falling asleep on the table. That's not what's happening here. She is shut down. She is so overwhelmed that she just stopped. So her first car trip was terrifying. Her first visit to a place beyond the neighborhood was terrifying. Not off to a great start. Shit happens. Just gotta focus on moving past it. On the bright side, now that she'd had enough of her shots, we could start taking her to more public places. Her first outing after the debacle at the vet's office was to a puppy party. This is not a training class, but it's just a chance for your puppy to hang out with other puppies and people and kind of just learn how to be puppies. You can probably find a trainer or a pet store or an animal shelter in your area who offers them. Just gotta Google it. So River was shy. She did great with people. She loves meeting people, but the dogs freaked her out. She mostly sat in my lap the whole time at this first one. And this was a long drive, so I brought someone with me to sit in the back of the car with her. Next day, I took her on a car ride by myself, and she sat in her crate and cried the whole way. But then we arrived at our destination, which was a hiking trail, and that was a lot of fun. And then we got to go back in the car, and she got to go to her favorite place, which is home. We did this a lot, for 2 weeks maybe, every day, sometimes twice a day. I would take her on short car rides to fun places like hiking trails or the park. And pretty soon, River learned to just chill out and sleep in the car because everything was gonna be fine. Finally, the day I've been looking forward to for what felt like months. I got to sleep in my own bed finally. So one night, I waited until she was really tired. I put her to bed in her crate. She fell asleep. I quietly went upstairs to my own bed. At 4 in the morning, she started whining, so I came downstairs and slept the rest of the night on the couch. Next day, I slept upstairs again. She slept through the night. And from that point, we were good. I can sleep upstairs now. As I started taking River on more adventures beyond just, our street, I started seeing some fear issues. Walking around the neighborhood or walking around a park, she was very afraid. She does not like the sound of barking dogs. She doesn't like to see dogs. And people, it's kind of weird. Like, if you are closer than 10 feet, she loves you. You're her best friend. If you're farther away, she barks defensively. River. Come on. Walking her around the neighborhood or around a park could be difficult because she's just afraid and she's barking at everybody. Now this set off my own fear issues because she was showing signs of becoming reactive. I mean, she wasn't really reactive at this point, but I knew she could be if this continued. And I have done the reactive dog thing twice now with Friday and Merlin. And man, I was just not looking forward to doing it again. I obviously had to work really hard on socializing her and counter conditioning her and getting her past this. But in my fear and my panic, I think I pushed her too hard a few times. I pushed her to situations she wasn't ready for. So I had to calm down and chill out. There are a gazillion ways to deal with reactivity and potential reactivity. The way that worked for River was a variation on a dog training game called Look at That. Basically, every time the dog sees the trigger, the thing that sets off their fear, you mark and reward it. Every day we went to a park. When we first arrived, she would be very overwhelmed, and that was when she would freak out and bark at everything. So we would then go to a quiet area of the park where she could still see all the dogs and the people and the soccer balls and the other scary stuff. She was far enough away that she wasn't reacting. Let's try and play our new game again. Yes. 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 She caught on real fast. Pretty soon, her body language changes, and the way she looks at these things changes. Like, she sees a person pushing a stroller across the parking lot. She looks, and then she looks at me. Did you see that? Did you see that I'm looking? Where's my treat? So yeah, at this point, my life is utterly consumed by this puppy. I'm doing a lot of work for not a lot of reward yet. We're not doing any of the fun stuff that you get a dog for. And this is normal. This is to be expected. But this part freaks people out. And you may have seen that friggin' adorable video I posted a couple weeks back about River, Meet My Baby Belgian Malinois, or whatever it was called. And it's so cute. She's being so adorable. We're having so much fun. But that's the highlight reel, right? I mean, what you don't see is the frustration and the sleep deprivation and the fact that my life revolves around making sure A, she doesn't develop fear aggression, and B, doesn't eat the batteries out of the TV remote. So a person might be bombarded by adorable puppy videos like that and be bombarded by the cultural narrative that tells us that raising a puppy is just full of joy and happiness, and then that person might get a puppy, hit around day 7 to 14, and find themselves not happy at all. They're just doing a lot of thankless work for a puppy who doesn't seem to like them yet. And so they think either something is wrong with the puppy or something is wrong with them, because this is supposed to be fun. So now this person has arrived at the next phase of the adjustment period. This is the part where everything is terrible and you think you've made a huge mistake. It's a normal part of the adjustment period. Now, Not everybody goes through this part, I know. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of folks out there who get a puppy and have no issues whatsoever, but those are not the people who are emailing me at 3 in the morning. I write a lot, about the what was I thinking phase. It's kind of accidentally become my specialty on 3 Lost Dogs, and you'd think that since I spend so much time helping other people get through this, that I would be immune to it myself. But no, I mean, it could happen to the best of us, and I am not the best of us. For me, it started at about the 3-week mark. It coincided with a depressive episode. I have depression, by the way. I have since I was 12. It comes and goes, tends to come at really inconvenient times. With a new dog, you've got sleep deprivation and stress and a complete disruption of your daily routine. This is a trigger for the what was I thinking phase. It's also a trigger for depression. So, double whammy. One day, it was the day after Halloween. I woke up completely exhausted with terrible brain fog and just no energy or focus or patience to deal with River. I was really beating the crap out of myself over this. Why would you get such a difficult dog? Why would you get a Belgian Malinois when you know you're prone to depression? You're not good enough for this dog. Those were dark days. I lost my sense of humor about it for a while. The thing is, I knew this was normal. I was experiencing almost a textbook case of the what was I thinking phase, and I knew I'd be fine. I just had to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Being really depressed and exhausted at the time, I had a very hard time working on actual training stuff. So I abandoned a lot of the training projects we were working on and just put all of my focus into socialization and getting her past her fear issues, because that was the most important thing. She started having fewer accidents. Instead of one every day, it was one every other day, or one every few days. Remember what I said about her learning to say please by sitting whenever she wanted something? Well, she learned that if she sat at the back door, we would let her out. She learned that when she had to go pee, just go sit at the back door. And because she was starting to get this concept, she was able to have more freedom in the house. River harassed Merlin constantly. Every chance she got, she was chewing on his face trying to get him to play, and 90% of the time he did not want to play. But he was good-natured about it, fortunately. I made sure he had a place to himself where the puppy couldn't bother him. Like, my room is off limits to the puppy. Merlin could chill out there. I did some training to get River to leave Merlin alone, but for the most part, it was just a matter of her outgrowing it and moving on to other things. By week 6, she had mostly abandoned her Merlin obsession and redirected her obsessive focus into bowling. The what was I thinking phase came to an end, and it was thanks in part to this ball, this toy bowling ball. Up until this point, River enjoyed playing with toys, but she mostly wanted to play with them by herself. Like, you could throw a ball for her, she'd go after it, and she'd take it away to chew on it. And then she found this ball, and it was too big for her to get her mouth around it, but she realized that it's really fun if people kick it for her. So that was when she learned to play interactive games with people. I could shape the bowling ball chasing into fetch and frisbee training, and maybe most important of all, it became much easier to exercise her. Like, all I had to do was kick the bowling ball around for half an hour, and then she'd be tired after that. It was miraculous. She was getting easier to deal with in general, thanks to some intense work over the past 6 weeks. She was pretty much house trained. She was great in the car. She was okay being left home alone. She slept in to a much more reasonable hour in the morning. We were starting to develop a bond. I was starting to feel like she was my dog. And this is the final stage of the adjustment period. It's the we can do this phase. Day 45-ish. Felt like the first day I'd been able to take a deep breath since River came home, or since I had stumbled across a random litter of Belgian Malinois puppies on a website, or since Jonas died. It was the first time I'd been able to relax and go, okay, this is gonna be awesome.
River. Come here, puppy. Good girl.
Now, yeah, raising River is a lot of fun. There is a lot of joy and happiness in this now. I just had to do the work to get there. And I am happy to report that River is still shy. She's very shy, but she's no longer at risk of becoming reactive or fear aggressive. I shouldn't say that, I'll jinx it. As long as I stay vigilant and keep up with the socialization, we should be good. This experience renewed my appreciation for just how hard the adjustment period can be on puppy adopters. I mean, I know the process inside out. I know to have faith in the work and know that if I just do the work, things will get better, even if in the moment it seems like nothing is getting better. I knew all this and I still had a hard time. Imagine being someone who doesn't even know the process at all. It's no wonder why so many puppy owners consider throwing in the towel and either returning or rehoming their new puppy. I had so much ambition when I adopted River. She was going to be obedience trained before the first month was over. She was going to love visiting the vet. I was going to be really careful and make sure she never developed any annoying issues. But sometimes your puppy's first vet visit is a disaster. Sometimes you have mental health issues that knock you on your ass. Sometimes your puppy is a living creature with a mind of their own. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes things will take longer, much longer than you expected them to, but that's alright because it's all about the long game. It's the big picture. You're gonna screw things up, it's okay. It's all about what happens next time. Alright, so next up for River, we've got agility training and frisbee training and obedience training, and I'm recording all of it, of course, so you'll get to follow along the madness. See you next time. Thanks for watching.